I'm Edward Warfield. I'm the publisher of Citybiz, and I'm honored today to interview Michael DeMos, who's the Chief Executive Officer of C360 Agency. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Edwin. Great to be with you.
You have a diverse background. Would you mind sharing some of the details?
I mean, it's been an amazing run. Some really amazing wins over my career, and as any entrepreneur will tell you, some pretty rough times as well. At this point, I'm super excited to be here. I'm surrounded by a phenomenal marketing team, and we're working with some really great customers in the area. My career, I've had a diverse number of roles, and it gives me a unique perspective for problem solving and innovation and industry disruption. And looking back, it's kind of crazy. I was a chemistry major in college, and I did 5 years in the Army as an officer, and then 10 years in Fortune 500 companies as an executive in sales and operations. And I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years. And yeah, I mean, recently in 2021, at the beginning of the year, I was running 3 companies. And it was, as the pandemic was waning, it was super fun. Clap 360 Communications, which was a traditional PR marketing firm that I bought from Barb Clapp in 2019. By the way, she's retired in 2020, is working her way in the nonprofit space, and we remain good friends. Victory 360, which is a direct marketing agency I founded in 2010. And then, of course, V360 Fundraising, which is a direct marketing fundraising entity for military nonprofits. And I recently sold that to my number one, Joe Castellino, who's now running the company and doing great things for the veterans in our country. So it's been crazy 45 years.
So in October of this year, you launched the C360 Agency. Can you share some of the plans?
Sure. Yeah, I think the question I get most often is, why C360 and why now? And for me, it kind of represents the evolution of the brand, moving from the traditional public relations agency into a full service marketing firm that uses big data, and I think provides a pretty unique approach to offering services to clients. And if you don't mind, can I give you a little bit of background? Cool. So yeah, in the context of the current talent turnover tsunami, which a lot of big companies are experiencing, having trouble with retention or whatever, they're finding it very difficult to hire experienced chief marketing officers or senior marketing professionals, or some firms don't really need a full-time CMO. And our approach is to provide a fractional CMO. Our team of seasoned professionals who have worked on both the agency side and the client side can come in and fill that role for the clients. And then we have a seasoned team of subject matter experts, whether it's digital or social or traditional media, that can support the client. So it's kind of like having an agency inside. And it's an affordable alternative to like the Mad Men era of the traditional big agencies. We can talk about that a little bit more later, but I've tried really hard to create this kind of cool environment that attracts talent and allows us to deliver really amazing work for our clients. So that's kind of where C360 is today.
And what is the 360-degree approach?
Yes, I love that question. That's why we came up with the name, right? So I think it is what it says. It's a complete view of your brand and making sure that everyone's aligned. So I feel like my superpower that I've developed over all these years in these different roles is I'm a good listener, and I'm able to understand what the ultimate client challenge is, and then try to build the right team of people and services to overcome that challenge, and ultimately delivering really cool work. And that's what gets me jazzed every day. That's what I love. And we're doing the 360 approach is kind of 4 chunks of work. So discovery, interviews inside and outside the organization, a lot of research, but I think ultimately looking at big data and applying it to the customer's customers and finding out what's happening in their buying behaviors really makes a difference and drives the rest of our process. And in the old days, only Fortune 500 companies had access to this data, and now small companies can have access to. So step two for us is clarifying the message. And the big issue we find with a lot of clients is they're still selling features and benefits, and that's kind of like, that's out with the 80s. And consumers want you to talk to them about how you're going to improve their life and change their condition, make them better. And that's what drives their motivation. So getting the message right is important. And then, turning on the advertising channels that work. We don't sell cookie cutter solutions. We only bring the channels that we think will work, and adapt that to the client's needs. And then lastly, we still use that traditional PR infrastructure to support the clients, because advertising and public relations need to go together. And to me, that's the 360-degree approach.
And who are some of the key members of your team?
Yeah, in these days, it's getting good talent is super difficult. And so we work really hard to create a workforce culture that attracts that kind of top talent. And a couple of things we've done is, one, we have an alternating 4-day, 5-day work week. So every other week, each staff member only has to work 4 days. And then we also have a hybrid virtual environment, and it allows people to kind of live their best life and then do their best work at the same time. And the other thing is that this isn't like a bunch of new kids on the block. Most of my folks have worked both the agency side and the client side, and that gives them a unique perspective on making sure that they can deliver. And I mean, we have a full set of subject matter experts internally: public relations, creative, social media, digital. And then we also work with subcontractors for certain specialty items as needed. And that approach allows us to get the work done in an affordable way for a lot of clients. And we're having a lot of fun right now. It's been great to work together in this new environment.
And can you explain how C360 is using big data to drive your better client outcomes?
Basically, what we're doing is taking a customer's transaction history, and we're appending data attributes to it that we get from a company like Experian. So 500 to 900 data attributes that we assign to the customers. And then we analyze that data to see what are the most statistically significant behaviors, and then use that information to help drive the brand's messaging, the creative, and the advertising channels that we're using. So we really are able to distill down what is important about the client's data, and then use that to make a real impact. And what's really amazing is a lot of the C-suite people that we deal with will say, we already know everything about our clients. We already know everything about our market. We just want you to do, X, Y, and Z. And we'll say, let us just take a look and do a preliminary analysis and give you some insights. And we'll come back and show them things, and they'll be like, wow, I had no idea that was a fact. And we're working with a company in the Midwest called Aquarius Home Services. And we just did a quick analysis of their data, and the marketing manager got back to us after our initial findings and said, wow, this is crazy how much data we have, and we didn't know what was in there, and how much it can help us be more efficient in our marketing. And that's the kind of thing that I love to do, is kind of find those nuggets of truth and share them with the clients.
So which advertising channels are you seeing the best results with?
Edwin, that's a great question. And everybody's looking for a silver bullet these days. What's the one thing I can do to drive my results higher? And honestly, there just isn't just one. Most often we find it's a combination of channels working together, and it's different for every client. That's why we don't sell cookie cutter solutions. Once you understand where your audiences are consuming data and what they care about and how they buy, then you can direct your traffic towards those consumers. And I think one of the reasons that I started C360 was because there's a lot of agencies that specialize in one vertical. So they just do digital advertising, and that's what they want to sell. So if you go to them, they make the case for that. but most often they're not looking at, hey, how do I get the best return on the marketing investment for my clients and what's going to move the needle for them? And I feel like that's where we're moving forward with the agency.
So are there any case studies that you want to share with us?
I mean, we have a bunch. I think one that might resonate with the local folks in the Mid-Atlantic is a lot of the work that we've done with Len the Plumber. Really interesting case study. You know, they've grown from 5 or 6 trucks back in 2002 or 2003 when I met them to they're a very big company now in 5 or 6 states. And we did a very deep dive on their customer, looked at customers over 10 years, and basically found out that they have 2 distinct customer types. There's one customer type that prefers a quality message, like that's what they respond to, and then another type that responds to deals. And so we were able to segment their file by DMA and advertise the right message to the right consumer behavior. And basically, we're able to double their response rates. So, I mean, even in direct mail, going from like 0.6 to 1.5% response rate is a huge return on investment. And I love that part, but I think what's really cool is it also influenced how they decided to run their brand advertising across all those markets and across all the channels. So that's a really good example of how understanding your client, messaging them properly drives higher response.
And so what are the growth plans for C360 Agency?
Well, all entrepreneurs want to grow, obviously. But I feel like in today's world, I mean, I'm 58 years old. There's 2 big things that are important to me with our new clients. And one is that we get a seat at the table with the leadership. Depending on the size of the company, it might be C-suite, it might be just the owner and their marketing manager. But what we often find is once we do this data work, there's some paradigm, institutional paradigm in the company that needs to be broken. And unless the leadership in the company is willing to follow that lead, it's very difficult to make progress. So we want a leadership team and a marketing team that's willing to get in there, work with us as partners, and do the hard work to make the real changes that need to be made to drive the company forward. And then secondly, I mean, we got to have fun. The days of working really hard and not having fun, they're over for us. We want to have fun, and ultimately, it's like I have friends and I have clients, but when I have clients who become friends, like that's the kind of life that I want to live. And my team wants to live. We were just in Michigan at a cannabis farm doing a big photo video shoot, and we just had a ball. We stayed there for 2 days. We brought our whole team. We mingled with their team. We spent the time together, and like everybody had a blast. And so, yes, we're doing good work. Yes, we're making money, and yes, we're having fun. And that's kind of who we want to be. So I think, in a nutshell, we're offering clients an alternative to the traditional agency model. We're using big data that was previously only available to Fortune 500 companies, and we're helping people clarify their message, tune into what buying behaviors their customers have, updating collateral, websites, email chains, whatever, adding in a public relations strategy, turning on advertising channels, and delivering measurable results. And that's C360 in a nutshell.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you for sharing your time and your vision for C360, and I look forward to watching you grow either internally or through acquisitions in the future. It's an exciting story, and again, appreciate your time. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much, Edwin. I appreciate it. Have a great day.